The Forgotten Son. When I was a boy, I always thought my parents loved my sister more than me. She got the best toys, the biggest cake, and the warmest hugs. When she cried, they ran to her. When I cried, they told me to be strong. It felt unfair. I wanted love, too. But no matter what I did, it seemed like she was more special. At school, I tried my best to be a good student. I did all my homework and got high scores on my tests. I thought maybe if I was the best, they would notice me. But when I showed my report card, they only smiled and nodded. When my sister won a small prize, they clapped and cheered. I felt invisible, like I didn't matter. At home, she always got what she wanted. She chose what to watch on TV. She got the last piece of cake. She had a big party for her birthday every year. My birthdays were small and quiet. Sometimes I felt like I was just there, like a shadow in the house. I didn't hate her, but I wished I was important too. One day, I sat alone in my room and thought about it. Why did they treat us so differently? Was I not good enough? Did I do something wrong? I wanted to ask them, but I was afraid of the answer. Maybe they would say yes. Maybe they would say she was better than me. He thought made my chest feel heavy. That night, I finally found the courage to ask my mom. I looked at her and said, "Do you love her more than me?" She laughed and said, "Don't be silly." But she didn't say no. She just smiled and walked away. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, feeling more alone than ever. The days passed, and I stopped trying so hard. If they didn't care, why should I? I didn't show my report card anymore. I didn't try to win their attention. I stayed quiet and watched as they hugged my sister and called her special. Maybe I was just not special enough. Then, one day, everything changed. Something happened that made me see things in a new way. It was a day I would never forget. A day that made me understand the truth. A day that showed me I was never really forgotten. It was a rainy afternoon when everything changed. I sat by the window watching the raindrops hit the glass. My sister was in the kitchen with my mom, laughing about something. My dad was reading a newspaper. I felt like I was in a different world, one where no one noticed me. I wanted to leave, to run outside and let the rain wash away my feelings. But I just sat there, waiting for nothing. Then I heard a loud crash from the kitchen. My sister screamed and my mom shouted her name. I jumped up and ran to see what happened. She had fallen, and there was hot tea all over the floor. My mom held her, checking her arms and legs. My dad rushed to get a towel. I stood there, frozen, not knowing what to do. My heart pounded as I watched them. My sister was crying, and my mom hugged her tightly. "It's okay, my love," she whispered. My dad cleaned the mess quickly. No one looked at me. No one asked if I was okay. I felt like I didn't belong. I turned away, ready to go back to my room. But then, something unexpected happened. My sister reached out her hand and held mine. Her fingers were small and warm. She looked up at me with teary eyes and said, "Stay." Her voice was soft, but it felt like a command. I didn't know why, but I stayed. I sat beside her while my mom checked her burn. My dad finally looked at me and said, "Can you get some ice?" His voice was calm, but there was something different in it. I ran to the fridge and grabbed the ice pack. When I gave it to my mom, she smiled at me. "Thank you," she said. Just 2 words, but they felt big. I sat down again, watching my sister hold the ice to her skin. She leaned against me, resting her head on my shoulder. It was small, but it was real. That night, I lay in bed thinking about what happened. It was the first time my sister reached for me instead of my parents. It was the first time I felt needed. Maybe I wasn't invisible after all. Maybe I was part of something, even if it didn't always feel that way. I closed my eyes and listened to the rain outside. For the first time in a long while, my heart felt light. Something had changed that day, even if I didn't fully understand it yet. And deep inside, I knew this was only the beginning. The next morning, I woke up feeling different. The house was quiet, but I could hear my sister talking to my mom in the kitchen. I stayed in bed for a while, thinking about yesterday, her small hand holding mine, her head resting on my shoulder. It was such a simple thing, yet it stayed in my mind. Maybe she didn't see me the way I thought. Maybe I wasn't just a shadow to her. I finally got up and walked to the kitchen. My sister was sitting at the table, her arm wrapped in a bandage. She saw me and smiled. "Good morning," she said. Her voice was soft, but it was the first time she spoke to me first. I nodded and sat down across from her. My mom placed a plate of toast in front of me. "Eat before it gets cold," she said. Her voice was kind. It felt different. As I ate, I noticed my dad watching me. He didn't say anything, but he seemed to be thinking. After a moment, he put down his coffee and said, "You were helpful yesterday." His words surprised me. I looked up, unsure what to say. He gave a small nod and went back to his newspaper. It wasn't much, but it meant something. Maybe he had noticed me after all. The day passed slowly. My sister stayed near me more than usual. She asked me to help with her schoolwork. She followed me to the backyard when I went outside. At first I didn't understand why. But as I watched her, I realized something. Maybe she had always wanted to be close to me, just like I had wanted to be close to my parents. I had spent so much time feeling forgotten that I never saw how much she looked up to me. That night, I sat on my bed, staring at the ceiling again. But this time, I didn't feel alone. My sister's small voice echoed in my mind. My dad's words repeated in my head. My mom's soft smile stayed in my memory. Maybe I had been wrong all along. Maybe I wasn't forgotten. Maybe I had just been looking in the wrong place. I turned off the light and closed my eyes. For the first time, I didn't wish to be the favorite. I didn't wish for more attention. I just felt okay. And for now, that was enough. The days passed and something felt different. My sister stayed close to me. She asked me about my favorite things. She sat next to me when we watched TV. She even waited for me before starting dinner. It was strange at first. I wasn't used to it. But slowly I started to enjoy it. It felt nice to be noticed, even if it was just by her. I had spent so much time feeling forgotten that I never thought she might care about me too. One afternoon, she knocked on my door. "Can I come in?" she asked. I nodded, surprised. She walked in and sat on my bed, looking around my room. "It's so quiet here," she said. I didn't know what to say. She smiled a little. "I like being with you," she added. Her words were simple, but they meant a lot. No one had ever said that to me before. Maybe she had always cared and I just never saw it. That evening, my dad called me while I was reading. He stood by the door for a moment before speaking. "We're ordering pizza. What do you want?" I looked at him, unsure why he was asking me. Usually they just ordered what my sister liked. I told him my favorite topping and he nodded. "Okay," he said. It was such a small thing, but it mattered. For the first time, I felt included in something. When the pizza arrived, we all sat together at the table. My sister moved her plate closer to mine. My mom asked me about school. My dad passed me the soda first. The conversation felt different, warmer, like I was finally part of something, not just watching from the side. I didn't have to try so hard. I didn't have to fight for attention. It was just there, naturally. After dinner, my sister followed me to the living room. She sat beside me and leaned her head against my arm. "You're my big brother," she said softly. "That's special." I looked down at her, feeling something new in my heart. Maybe she had always looked up to me. Maybe I'd spent too much time focusing on my parents that I never saw what was right in front of me. That night, as I lay in bed, I thought about everything. Maybe my parents didn't love my sister more. Maybe they just showed love in different ways. Maybe I had been so busy feeling left out that I never noticed the small things. The way my dad patted my shoulder sometimes. The way my mom always saved my favorite snacks. The way my sister smiled when she saw me. I turned off the light and closed my eyes. For the first time in a long while, I didn't feel alone. I didn't feel forgotten. I felt like I belonged. And maybe, just maybe, I always had. The next morning, I woke up feeling lighter. The house was quiet, but it didn't feel empty. I could hear my sister humming a song in the kitchen. I could hear my dad talking to my mom about something funny. It was the same house, the same people, but something was different. Or maybe I was different. Maybe for the first time I was letting myself see the love that had always been there. When I walked into the kitchen, my sister looked up and smiled. "I made your favorite toast," she said, pushing a plate toward me. I sat down, surprised. She had never done that before. My mom poured me a glass of milk without me asking. My dad asked about my homework. It was all so simple, but it felt new. It felt like I was part of the family, not just someone sitting in the background. After breakfast, my sister followed me to the backyard. "Can we play a game?" she asked. I almost said no. I wasn't used to spending time with her like this. But then I saw the hope in her eyes, and I nodded. We played for an hour, laughing as we ran around. My parents watched from the porch, smiling. It felt strange, but also right, like this was how it was always supposed to be. Later that day, my dad called me into the living room. He was holding an old photo album. "Come sit," he said, patting the space next to him. I hesitated, but then walked over. He opened the book, showing pictures of me as a baby. "You were our first," he said, "the one who made us parents." His voice was soft, full of warmth. I looked at the photos, me in my mom's arms, me on my dad's shoulders, me playing with my sister when she was just a baby. I had never thought about it before. I had spent so much time believing I was forgotten that I never noticed these memories. My dad pointed to a picture of me holding my sister's hand when she was learning to walk. "She always followed you," he said with a smile. "She always wanted to be like you." I looked over at my sister, sitting on the floor and flipping through another album. She looked up at me and grinned. I finally understood. That evening, we all sat together for dinner again. My mom told funny stories about when I was little. My dad laughed as he remembered the time I tried to build a treehouse and got stuck. My sister listened, wide-eyed, asking questions about things she didn't remember. For the first time, I felt like I belonged, not because I'd tried to be special, but because I was already part of something special. That night, as I lay in bed, I thought about everything. I had spent years believing a story that wasn't true. I wasn't forgotten. I wasn't unloved. I was just looking in the wrong places. Love had always been there, in the small things, in the quiet moments, in the way my family had always been around me. I just had to open my eyes to see it. I closed my eyes, listening to the soft sounds of my family in the house. My sister's laughter, my mom's voice, my dad's footsteps. I smiled to myself. I wasn't alone. I was never alone. And now, I finally knew that. The next day, I felt different, lighter, happier. The house no longer felt like a place where I was ignored. It felt like home. My sister sat beside me at breakfast, talking about her favorite cartoon. My mom laughed when I made a joke. My dad asked if I wanted to go with him to the store. It was a small moment, but it mattered. It showed me that I was part of this family, not just someone watching from the side. That afternoon, my sister ran up to me with a notebook in her hands. "Can you help me with my homework?" she asked. I usually said no, but this time I nodded. We sat together, going over her questions. She listened carefully, writing down every word I said. "You're really smart," she told me, smiling. I never thought she saw me that way, but maybe she always had, and I just never noticed. Later, my dad asked me to help him fix something in the garage. I followed him, and we worked together in silence. Then, he suddenly spoke. "I know you used to feel left out," he said. His voice was calm, but I could tell he had been thinking about it for a long time. "We never meant to make you feel that way." He looked at me, waiting for a response. I swallowed hard, then nodded. "I know," I said quietly, and I meant it. That night, we all sat in the living room watching an old family video. I saw myself as a little boy running around with my sister. I saw my parents laughing, holding us close. I had been part of this family all along. I was never forgotten. I was never alone. I just needed to open my heart to see the truth. As I went to bed, my sister peeked into my room. "Good night," she said softly. "Good night," I replied. She hesitated for a moment, then smiled. I'm glad you're my brother, I smiled back, feeling warmth spread through my chest. Me too, I said, and for the first time in my life, I truly believed it. I hope this session was helpful. Please like and subscribe to our channel for more such interesting stories. Take care, everyone.